country there are small enclaves like this of people who actually are trying to accomplish something with their lives besides try to be buried with as much gold as they can possibly accumulate during their lifetime. So those of you who appreciate the arts, culture, intelligence, and humanism, thank you very much. You have no idea how few you are until you think about it. So congratulate yourself and try to get other people to interact on that kind of level. If you're not paying attention to the last couple of days of news, here's the last 4 New York Times. Let's start with Wednesday. Fed an $85 billion bailout plan on poultry insurance on U.S. to get state shift is said to rise from growing fear of global crisis. Global crisis. Thank you, Mr. MBA President. This is the only country in the industrial world that does not have a universal health care policy. The only one. And we have the least efficient and the most expensive. 1.8 million people went bankrupt in this country last year because of health problems. Not one person in Europe goes bankrupt because of health problems. So what's the story? What's the problem? I don't get it. I want my tax dollars to provide all of us with an equal opportunity on health care. It's only common sense. When the other presidents who were enlightened or partially enlightened tried to get universal health care for all of us, it's the Republicans who have stopped them. Now McCain's running on a platform, I'm going to provide health care for all. That's ridiculous. It's a total lie. Now the Democrats aren't perfect. I'm not a Democrat. I'm an independent. But the vote Republican would be the last thing I would do in my life. When Reagan, the great Republican hero, took office, the debt was less than $1 trillion. The debt now, they're talking, it's over $9 trillion. And they're talking about it's going to be at least $11 trillion when this is over, at least. Reagan, 8 years. Bush Sr., 4 years. Clinton, not the perfect man, but when he left office, a surplus, starting to get all this down. A surplus estimated at $1.7 trillion, thrown away by the next president. Well, does anyone remember Dean Stockwell? It was Stockwell. He was this, he was in his 20s.
Stockman.
He was Stockman, right. Stockwell's an actor. Right. Well, first of all, these persons are not worth remembering. That's the first problem. That's the first problem. Why remember? But this guy, I remember because it's indicative of the problem we're in. He's in his 20s and he's in charge of all of this. Well, before Reagan left office, he was testifying before Congress, and he admitted they made it all up. All the numbers, they made it up. It was all, he admitted in front of Congress. Now, I don't understand why Obama and the other, and Kerry and Gore before him don't talk about these things, but somehow they don't. But he admitted they cooked the books, they just put it out there because it was their scheme, it was their plan. They wanted to do it. Eisenhower was in that position at one time and made his choice. Not a bad president, particularly for a Republican. Not a bad president. But Powell chose to become Secretary of State. On his 4-year watch, the greatest catastrophe in American diplomatic history took place. We lost all our allies. We started an endless, hopeless war that is shoveling trillions of dollars down the drain, has cost over 4,000 young Americans their lives, 30, 40,000 others permanently injured, and they estimate it's going to be 2 or 3 million veterans who are psychologically damaged so badly that we're going to be paying for them the rest of their life. Those concussions are killing these guys slowly, ruining their lives. So before he was done with me, he had to sit down again. So this kind of story I'm telling, compassion. There's no compassion in Washington. They don't care of the consequences. I make an educated, liberal, humanist decision when I vote. And it's always been Democrat in my lifetime. And I'm a liberal. And part of that is, what's wrong with being a liberal? Look up the dictionary definition. It means you're open to new ideas. You're friendly You're looking to help people. You're inclusive and you want to spread. You want to share. You want to help. It's all positive being liberal. It means you're intelligent, etc., etc. Open-minded. The first time somebody made a derogatory remark to me about being a liberal, I said, what are you talking about? I'm proud of being a liberal. But liberals as a group allowed that not to happen. They didn't defend themselves. Defend yourselves. When you're talking to some, I hate to say it, Republican, get in his face. Tell him he's wrong. Let him know that they're wrong. When someone standing in front of me in a line is making an absolute, see, you got children here, you know what I mean, and whatever, I tell them off. I tell them, I said, don't say that. Whatever, stop that. Don't cut in line, whatever. Do I ever get anyone to back me up? The rest of the people in that line who have observed this, do they give me one word of support? No, they back away. They shirk from it. They hide from it. Why? I wish one time when I'm telling some jerk off because they're a hopeless jerk and I'm too old to put up with that anymore, somebody would defend me.
Taking questions?
If they're right to the point, please.
How do you prepare people emotionally to vote for a black man?
That's the key. That's why Michigan.
I understand. I lived in the deep South until I was 24 years old. I went to high school in South Carolina, in rural South Carolina. I failed the 10th grade. It was so horrible. Total segregation. The deep South. 57, 58, 59. We moved to Virginia. Go to the second high school. I'm in my, I had to repeat the 10th grade because I hated it so much. This school, terrible in Virginia. Finally, I got saved. We moved on the Marine base. My dad was in the Marines. Graduated high school in Quantico. But I lived in the deep South for 24 years. This is the most racist country you can imagine. How you prepare them, I don't know, because it's not coming from the leadership. I'm afraid that half this country will not vote for Obama just because he's different. Because we're prejudiced. Not everybody. I'm not talking about you. But the average person is bigoted. Why? Because they will not look beyond their own nose. Anything different, they reject immediately. They don't think about it. They push it aside. They're not inquisitive. The most damning statement about George Bush Jr. before he took office in 2000, before he was elected in 2000. The New York Times that summer, a little summation, called him, besides other things, but summed it up, non-reflective and not open to new ideas. A damning indictment. Now look at this lady from, wherever it is. Yeah. Enlightened? Baloney. Baloney. Responsible? No. Maybe she's a good person. Maybe at that level. But vice president or president? Everything has been dumbed down to such a point. Well, you're down here in an intellectual, aesthetic, personable, humanistic group, society, idea, concept, whatever. And so you're better prepared for the rest of your life. You're in a better position to stand up tall when you walk out, and you're in a better position to educate and help your children, your nieces, your cousins, the people around you. Did anybody see Dennis Kucinich speak at the Democratic Republican convention? This is the only man who could walk out of either one of those conventions with his head really held high, because he really told the story. Impeach and indict the present administration, end the war in Iraq, universal health care for all, strengthen our international alliance and work closely with our friends and try to ameliorate differences with people we find in conflict. The present administration calls anybody who doesn't agree with them an enemy. An enemy. And I don't like it that I'm being called an enemy. I'm standing tall, I'm speaking loud, I'm complimenting Dennis Kucinich and anybody else who will try to be a good person, and I'm done for tonight. Thank you very much.